I turned these 50-year-old vintage classic Pioneer SE30A headphones into a Bluetooth headset for just £6. Do you want to know how? Stay tuned. Okay folks, so here's the story. A few days back I bought a pair of really cheap Bluetooth headphones, £8.99. Wasn't expecting great things from it, and they weren't great. The sound quality was really awful, but it convinced me that I would like a pair of Bluetooth headphones. Now for a decent pair you're paying £100, even maybe £200, but I did have at home, or rather I do have at home, this pair of classic Pioneer stereo headphones with a lead. Now these are 50 years old. They were a Which Best Buy at the time. Superb sound. So I came about thinking, I wonder what I could put in there. Is there a module, a board I could use that would convert these to a Bluetooth headset? Anyway, I've come up with this, which was £6. Takes a power supply from 3.7 volts to 24 volts DC. In other words, it'll work from a 1S LiPo. It is a Bluetooth amplifier. So I'm hoping that I'm going to install this in here, possibly with the battery on the outside, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to charge it, so that'll look a little bit scruffy. But install that in there, and then I'll have a pair of very good quality Bluetooth headphones for a cost of £6, plus obviously the little LiPo, but I've got loads of those kicking around. Anyway, let's see how I get on. First step is obviously to pull off these. They do come off, I'm not going to do it on camera. Pull off these, take out the speaker units. Right, so earmuffs off, give me a chance to clean them up, but as I said, I've actually had these for 50 years. And sure enough, inside there, I'm pretty sure there's going to be space in there for that tiny little board. Right, so just three. I'm quite excited by this project. I'm actually in the middle of two other projects I'm ready to start, so which is why I came up with the idea to do this. Got it. Right. Right, well I've got the headphones apart, well one side out anyway, just three crosshead screws, and it looks to me like there's plenty of room in there for that little board to go. Looking at the board, dead straightforward. That's the battery connection there, 3.7 to 24 volts DC, or you can power it via the micro USB socket, and the little switch there lets you shunt back and forward with tracks, but I can do that on the phone anyway. And there's a little 3.5 headphone socket there, but of course I'm going to hardwire it to the speakers in the Pioneer headphones. And there are connections on there, left, right, left, ground, right, to do that. Anyway, I'm going to get on with it now. I'll put a link to this little board down there, but I thought that was pretty amazing for £6. In fact, what I'm going to do before I start hacking this up is put a power supply to that. I've got an adapter that will go from 3.5 to normal size stereo jack. I'm going to put a power supply in it and just make sure the thing works before I start butchering up my priceless 50-year-old Pioneers. Okay, I'll tell you how I get on with the test. Okay, let's test it. I've tacked on a JST here on the back of the board, and I've got a 1S LiPo here, which is a 600 milliamp, which will give 4.2 volts. It will work down to 3.5 volts, or you can plug in a micro USB there and power it that way. Plugged in my 3.5mm to standard size headphone plug there. So I'll connect. Let's see what happens. Blue light is flashing. There was a dunk noise there, wanting to connect. Connections. It's already connected because I'd already actually paired it. XFWBT, and there it is. There it is, play music. Works fine. Next step will be, having taken that apart and seen there's space in there, next step will be to cut this lead, connect directly to the left right. Incidentally, there are connections on the back there, left, right, ground. Connect those to the headphone leads inside. There's only one control on this, and that actually advances and retards the music, so I'm not fussed about that. So for simplicity, I'm just going to run the JST outside and plug straight in when I need to use it. How about that? I'll show you when I've actually got it soldered in. Right, so looking in here, this is dead straightforward for connecting up the board. As I say, it's got outputs there, left, ground and right. Inside here, cable comes in, goes to a cable securer there. I shall cut that off, undo that screw, and then the connections you've got is, you've got black, which is the neutral, in other words. You've got a red, which as you can see comes from the jack plug, and it's red for right. So the red actually goes up and over to the right here. The white goes to this one, which is the left channel. So all I've got to do is connect the red to the right, the black to the neutral. That's actually connected there to a screen as well. That's to stop any interference going across there. Red to the right, black to the left, and give it a power supply through a hole in there. But that's basically the idea. Right, so what I'm going to do here to avoid soldering on new wires is I'm just going to cut this here, taking off the kind of strain bit there, cut down here, in other words, so that I can use some of this. Right, that's coming. Actually, it looks a bit tatty. I might solder on some. No, it looks all right. Actually, they're a bit fractured there anyway. Actually, that's corroded and fractured. Now I'm going to solder on some new wires there. Easier in the long run. Right, desolder. Take a photograph first. Point of no return. That makes life easier. See if I can find a bit of white wire somewhere. In fact, I'm going to solder these on the board first because it'll make it be easier when I've got free hand. Right, I found a bit of white wire too, white single core. Right, so I've extended the wire on my JST so that if I want to I might even be able to velcro the LiPo on the headband or something. Next step is going to be to solder red on the right, black on the left, and I found some white which is going to go in the middle and attach to there. And what I'm going to do is solder them that way so I can put some tape on, just to make sure, one, that they don't short, and two, that they haven't got any chance of pulling off. I'm not going to do that on camera because quite a delicate little soldering job. Right, so there are my three wires that are going to go to left and right headphones, and as I say, a bit of tape across here will stop it shorting and stop it possibly moving. That's the idea anyway, and that's where the JST will be connected. But what I've got to do first is drill a hole, feed that through, and then soldering it, and then I won't need to make quite such a big hole in the side of the headphone. Right, drill time. Right, the wire is through for my JST, my power supply, and in fact what I'm going to do is put a blob of hot glue there once I've got that soldered on, just to make sure there's absolutely no chance of it putting strain on the board or coming off. Right, next step of course is to solder these onto this, and then of course connect the power supply. And pretty confident, I've not actually measured it, but I'm pretty confident that's going to go in somewhere like this. I hope so anyway. We will see. Can't really test it until I reassemble, but 99% confident. Right, let's do some soldering. Actually, I'm going to solder the power lead on before I solder onto this, just to make sure that I can put some tape on and stop it, any chance of it pulling off. Because if you pull off these tiny little solder tags on here, the board is wasted. That's it, it's finished. Right, so headphone leads soldered on, power lead soldered on. Hopefully I'm going to try and put a bit of tape across that now to secure it all. I don't know whether to risk hot glue. I don't want to actually damage the board by putting hot glue on it, but ideally hot glue would be even better. Might do that, but you don't know about components on the other side and the heat. Right, I'll secure it one way or another, and then I've got to solder to these, and that's pretty much job done, apart from getting the whole thing inside the headphone. Right, back in a bit. I went for Scotch crystal tape. It's a good long-lasting tape, like sellotape but better. Right, so there it is soldered up. I'm just hoping I'm going to actually be able to get it back in there. So wish me luck. I'm probably going to have to leave some of the foam out. You saw there was a big chunk of foam in there when I took it apart. Sound deadening foam. Right, wish me luck at getting it back together. You could see there was that much foam in it before, so with a bit of luck I'll cut a piece of the foam away and see how I get on. This is going to be the trickiest bit, and I'm thinking I should have left these wires to connect here longer, because it would have given me more flexibility maybe to put it down here, which would have been better. It might go there. Right, wish me luck. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to do a final test. I'm going to connect my LiPo, see if it connects to my Bluetooth phone. Wish me luck with that. Right, moment of truth. Well, that's a good sign. Blue light is flashing. If you can see that. We have music. Hey! Cool. Right, let's see if I can get it all back together. Well, okay folks, the moment of truth. I've got them back together. It was a bit tricky getting the board in, but there's plenty of room for it. I cut away the foam slightly. Got the earmuffs back on. A bit tatty after 50 years, but as I say, these were actually a really good pair of headphones 50 years ago, and I didn't really want to spend £200 on a pair of Bose. So let's see what happens. I've got to plug it in now. I'm not 100% confident because I had to struggle a bit to manipulate that board in. Next time I'd have left the wires a bit longer to give myself a bit more room and use the lighter gauge wire. But you live and learn. It's the first time and probably the only time I'll ever do this. But let's plug the LiPo in. Like I say, that's going to sit up here somewhere. Bit of Velcro. Not very obtrusive. And it's immediately connected itself to my phone. Tune by the way, is Jason Shaw Audio Nautics, royalty-free music. But I'm well pleased with that. £6, and I've turned a pair of 50-year-old Pioneer SE30As classic headphones into a classic pair of Bluetooth headphones for the princely sum of £6. Okay, and the final touch, a little bit of Velcro there. Oh, and a bit of hot glue in there to stop that moving around. But I'd say that's done. So I'm well pleased with that. Good use for these lovely old headphones. That's it for now. Hope you found it useful. It's given me something to do for a day and very satisfying, and saved me £200. £6 Bluetooth headphones. Can't be bad. Okay, well, if you enjoyed it, don't forget, give it a like maybe, and even check out some of the other vids, mostly flying but radio control stuff, wildlife, sailing, you name it, it's all on my channel. Thanks for watching. Catch you all later. Bye for now.